Alrighty, welcome to our new series, #Underrated, where we shine some light on some of those parks that do not get the attention they deserve, and some of those coasters that also do not get the attention they deserve. There's a lot of them out there, and Valleyfair is one of those parks that has both the coasters and the park atmosphere that is extremely underrated. So I'm going to go over a few of the things that I think make this park extremely underrated. The coasters will appear in another series, as this series is both parks and coasters. So to get it started off, Valleyfair was one of the first two parks in the Cedar Fair family, and that means it's an OG park. It's an OG family member. And haven't you heard to always respect your elders? Wink face? I'm kidding. Anyways, let's get right to it. So Power Tower is one of those attractions that you definitely don't see that height at a lot of the other Cedar Fair parks. In fact, Canada's Wonderland's a great example of that. Their drop tower is around 230 feet tall. And you look at Power Tower and it's 275 feet tall. That's a big difference, especially for a smaller park versus bigger park. So that's definitely up there on terms of those underrated aspects of Valleyfair. That seems like a great flat ride in itself. Anyways, Wild Thing definitely comes to mind when I think underrated. Wild Thing is a hyper coaster at Valleyfair, and it looks extremely underrated. A lot of people don't talk about this coaster. In fact, a lot of people have some bad things to say about this coaster. People specifically whose home park is not Valleyfair. A lot of enthusiasts typically forget that just because it's not a B&M doesn't mean it's not a good coaster or it's not a good hyper coaster. I would definitely say that these designs are extremely underrated. And in fact, Magnum is one of my most underrated coasters at Cedar Point, and that just tells me that Wild Thing is probably going to be one of those underrated coasters at Valleyfair as well. I'm definitely going to be making my way to Valleyfair next year, and I'll be able to say for sure what's underrated and what's not underrated, but I'm taking into account a lot of the enthusiasts whose home park is actually Valleyfair and who have traveled around and ridden other hyper coasters. I'm going to believe them and trust that Wild Thing is extremely underrated. And I feel like there should be kind of a drinking game through this whole video where it's every time I say underrated, take a shot. But anyways, I definitely strongly believe Wild Thing is one of those coasters that it's extremely overlooked and not appreciated for what it is. Valleyfair is an extremely beautiful park as well, just to add that in there. So another one that comes to mind is Renegade. Renegade is a GCI wooden coaster, and I have heard this coaster is absolutely amazing. I have heard this coaster needs to be higher on the Golden Ticket Awards. I've heard this coaster needs to be a lot more recognized than it is, meaning it is, yes, #underrated, and that will be a separate video in itself. So I'm not going to get too in detail about why I think this coaster is underrated, but I've heard this is an absolutely amazing coaster. You should go check it out. I feel like if you rode the coaster, you would definitely have it higher on your list. I'm hearing this is probably a top competitor compared to other wooden coasters out there. I would definitely say, if I wanted to compare some wooden coasters, I would say I want to ride Mystic Timbers and then Renegade, and even some of the other wooden coasters out there as well. So another aspect to look at is the large array of family and kids attractions at this park. Some of you may be looking at me going, why are you talking about the kids and family aspect of the park when you're trying to call it underrated? Well, just to let you know, one of the biggest family parks in the chain, Canada's Wonderland and even Kings Island, they have some of the higher attendance numbers and highest growth rates in the chain. And it looks like Valleyfair is actually starting to get up there as well. So a lot of these family and kids rides do bring in numbers, and a lot of enthusiasts sometimes overlook the whole family and kids area aspect of a park. And this park, Valleyfair, definitely has a really nice array of family and kids attractions. And the better part is they're actually well themed, unlike other parks in the chain that kind of just throw in these steel looking fairground attractions. So this is an interesting aspect, but Dinosaurs Alive is soon to be removed, and that is the perfect location and the perfect time to invest in a new coaster. Now, this leads me into another topic before I dive a little too much into that aspect, but the stockholders' call recently touched on Valleyfair and how well it's doing. Valleyfair was actually brought up as one of the parks doing pulling some of the best numbers this season in terms of season passes and growth. Now, this is for 2018. I have not heard Valleyfair mentioned before on a stockholders call, so this is really good news from a smaller park. Valleyfair is definitely one of those parks that needs this attention, and showing some growth potential could definitely sway the chain into investing into the park sooner than later. In fact, I wouldn't hold off on seeing some of these rumors swirling around that there's a delay over at CGA because it wasn't doing so hot in 2018, and now Valleyfair was doing extremely well in 2018. I'm thinking you could see some of those investments sway on over to Valleyfair. So that's an interesting aspect to look at as a whole, and I would keep that in the back of your head when looking at 2020, 2021 at Valleyfair. I think they have something exciting down the road. It's not going to be 2019, but 2020, 2021, I really think is Valleyfair's year. Now, again, as I said earlier, Valleyfair is an extremely beautiful park with tons of potential with even the little land that they own. So what do I think could really improve this park? Well, I think an invert would complete the lineup perfectly. I think an invert is exactly what this park is missing, and it would really add to that lineup if they added something like Banshee, because Banshee's a really high thrill slash, a lot of people are going to be triggered here, it's kind of a family high thrill invert attraction over at Kings Island. It would be perfect for a park like this. It's not like too high in the G-force aspect. I know that a lot of people are like, well, yes, it does, but it's very drawn out. It's massive, so it doesn't feel like as tight and as high force as some of those other roller coasters out there. I think Banshee style invert would be perfect for a park like this, perfect for a park like Canada's Wonderland, just because they are more family high thrill theme parks. Now, if they were not to get an invert, I think a Mack double launch coaster would be perfect for this park as well. They need those inversions. They need that uniqueness, something to draw in the crowds, but I really do feel like an invert is perfect for this park. Now, I want to hear from you guys. Do you think Valleyfair is underrated? Comment down below what you think. Comment hashtag underrated or hashtag overrated for what you think this park is. Don't get too triggered. Everyone has their opinions, but I definitely want to hear from you. Again, hashtag underrated if you agree with me that this is an underrated theme park, or hashtag overrated if you think this is not underrated whatsoever. Now, I want to hear from you guys as well. What do you think is coming to Valleyfair in the next couple years? Because I'm going to tell you, Valleyfair is definitely in for some exciting years to come. They are definitely being talked about on the stockholders' end. They are definitely showing a promise for guests, attendance, and season passes as well. So that means whenever you see those things increasing, investments are to come. Now, there's a lot of talk about parking, Excalibur, flooding going on, and I definitely think that you're going to see a lot of changes coming to Valleyfair over the years, and a lot of them are going to be really exciting. I think this is definitely one of those parks that are overlooked. Not many people predict great things coming to this park. It's constantly a park that is on the lower side of things when you do your 2018 predictions, 2019 predictions, and I think in 2020 and 2021 predictions, I think we should start adding some more exciting predictions to this park because they have a bright future. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this first video on the hashtag underrated series. Comment down below what you think. Again, hashtag underrated or hashtag overrated. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and share this video for others to enjoy. Have a good one, guys. Bye.